So, Madam, let's call her Madam Kolu. So, Madam Kolu imported a quantity of frozen fish costing 400 CFA, right? 400 CFA. So that means she spent 400 CFA buying this frozen fish. They then said the goods attracted an import duty of 15% of its cost, meaning that 15% of this 400, she had to pay an extra 15% of this 400. As he said, as you can see in the question, they use the word attracted, meaning that she paid extra. The goods attracted, what does it mean to attract? It means to bring closer. She has already paid 400 for the fish, but now to import it, she had to pay 15% of the cost, which is 400, an extra 15%. He attracted an import duty of 15% of its cost. So basically, the people that were importing it looked at the fish and then said, we'll charge you an extra 15% of this 400 CFA fish. So the import duty, so the cost of the fish is 400, the import duty is 15% of 400. So now moving on, she also paid a sales tax of 10% of the total cost of the goods, including the import duty. So the money she paid for the fish plus the money she paid for the import tax, which is her total cost at that point, she had to pay an extra 10% of that total cost as sales tax. So the salesman then came to her, then see that he then asked her, what is the cost of your importation and the cost of you buying the goods all together? What's the total cost? She then gave him the price list. The man then looked at the total and then said, I'll charge you 10% extra for you to for your tax on these goods. And then she then proceeds. So once she now paid the 10% of that total cost, which is the import duty, the amount of money she paid for import duty. So the total cost is the amount of money she paid for import duty plus 400. So if you pay like 20 naira as import duty, it means that 20 naira plus 400, which is equals 420 naira, is the total amount of money she paid before she paid the sales tax. And then they now tax her to pay 10% of that 420 naira as a sale tax. So 420 10% of 420, she paid that amount. So 10% of 420 should be around 42 naira. So she paid 42 naira for as a sales tax. Don't get too confused here. The part where you get confused is if you think that all this import duty sales tax is coming from the 400. No, she has already paid the 400 for the fish. She has already settled those people that are selling the fish. She now has to settle the people that are collecting the import duty. You can see they use of its costs and they use attracted, meaning that she had to pay extra. This thing is just English. The goods attracted an import duty, meaning that because she bought this fish of 400, he attracted an import duty of 15% and a sales tax of, then after the total sum of these two money she paid as import duty and for the fish she paid 10% of that money as sales tax. As you can see, they wrote including the sales tax, meaning 400 plus the money she paid for import duty. 10% of that money went to the sales tax. She paid 10% extra 10% of that money as sales tax. And then she sold the goods for 660 CFA. Calculate the percentage profit. So now I've already written down all the parameters we need. The cost of the frozen fish is 400, meaning that this money has gone since. Then The import duty is now 15%. She paid extra money as import duty. So she paid extra 15% of 400, which we'll calculate that later. Then after that, the sum of these two, which you can see here, 400 plus this, which is inside the bracket, 10% of this whole thing now went as sales tax. So that means she paid extra money again as sales tax. If you read this question word for word, it's not complicated at all. Just read it like you're reading English. You understand it. There's no puzzling this thing. And all these keywords, they are not really keywords. If you read it, you understand what they mean by she paid 15%. The part where you get it wrong is if you think that all these 15%, 10% is part of this money. That means I'm trying to say that maybe she paid lesser of 400 for the fish. Part of the remaining money went to this. So no, that is wrong. She paid 400 for the fish. They already stated it here that this 400 is only for the fish. Assuming it was otherwise, they would have said that part of the money she paid for frozen. She paid 400 was part of the money. Sorry. She would have said, assuming it was otherwise, they would have said that some of the money out of this 400 was used to pay the fish, was used to pay for the frozen fish. But they didn't say anything like that, so they rather said that the frozen fish cost 400. So the 400 was for the frozen fish alone. She now paid. Then this cost of the goods, which is the frozen fish, attracted, meaning that he brought another expenses again. Then she also paid sales tax of 10% of the total cost of the goods, including import duty. So that means the sum of the money she paid for import duty and for the fish, she had to do 10% of that money to the salesman. She had to press the money to him. And then after she have now made all these sales tax, import tax payments, she then sold the goods for this month for 660 CFA. So I've already done the calculation here. So the calculation for import duty, as you can see, 15% of the 400, which is 15 over 100 times 400, will give you 60. So we just 0 cancel 0, 0 cancel 0, 15 times 4, 60. That means she paid 660 CFA as import duty for my money. Then sales tax, she paid sales tax. They said that the sales tax was 10% of the total cost of the goods. Total cost of the goods is 400, including the import duty. So that is 400 plus 60. They now get 10% of this, the 400 plus 60, which will give you 460 times 10 over 100. 0 cancel 0, 0 cancel 0. That is 46 times 1. That means she paid 46 CFA for the sales tax. So now to calculate our profit now, we have to know the selling price. We already know the selling price. She sold the goods for 660 CFA. So that is the selling price. Then the cost price. What did it cost her to get this fish on the market? That we will now sum up the whole amount of money she paid. She paid 400 for the fish. She paid 60 for the import duty. She paid 46 for the sales tax. So if you sum it up, it will give you 506. So now using the formula for profits, now we already have all the parameters we need. We have the sales price, selling price, which is 660. Then the cost price, which is how much it costs her to get that goods on the market, which is 506 up here. Once you make that calculation, you'll be left with this minus this 105, 154 over 506 times 100. So if you use your calculator, you get the decimal answer of this, then that is your answer in percentage. So that is our profit.